Hello everyone, and I am going to do a winter weather update on Monday night through Tuesday afternoon here across the Ohio Valley up to the northeast, and we're going to sort of talk about what the models have done the last day or so, and then we have more of the short range models coming in now, so um, we have a better idea of where this low is going to form across the Gulf of Mexico Gulf Coast area, and we'll sort of have a better idea of what's going to happen in the Ohio Valley. And for this video, I'm going to sort of compare our main operational models of the Euro and the GFS and sort of get into the more detailed um, stuff about this setup here, um, which I will sort of explain as we go on. But first, I do want to start off with the Euro model here. This is the 12Z model run. Came out this morning, so brand new model run here. And this is tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time. And off the bat here, we can see this very, very weak sort of low pressure, um, kind of in the southern Rockies regions. And as this low pressure starts to move eastward, it's going to start evecting in some deeper moisture from the Gulf here. And as that sort of moisture starts to evect in, a new primary low will sort of start to form on the Gulf Coast here and sort of be our main weather maker across the Ohio Valley and Northeast. But before that primary low does form, we have to have the shortwave move eastward into the plains, so we can start grabbing this moisture better here. And we'll see that by Tuesday morning here. Um, Early Tuesday morning, um, 1 a.m. here, we can see that primary low begin to just start to form according to the Euro around this time, around New Orleans. And one thing to point out here is that we do have our trough here. This is our trough. It's sort of bending down like this if we follow these thickness lines. Um, our thickness lines here are these sort of blue and red dash lines. This sort of helps tell us where the colder air is in place, where the warmer air is in place. The 540 line is considered sort of your rain snow line. So anytime you're looking at maps like this, you want sort of anything lower than 540 to have a good signal for enough cold air for snow or some sort of wintry precipitation. Um, so we have this trough here, and it is positively tilted. So what this means is that we have a lot of our colder air sort of behind the axis of this trough here. So what that means is we don't have as much cold air back in through here, um, sort of in the mixing area that we'll see here, and back into the Ohio Valley. So with the cold air lacking and with how this trough is oriented, um, you know, the mixing is going to be sort of skewed northward here. And as this sort of low pressure does move, northeastward, it does sort of push in that warmer air as well. Again, especially in the valleys, um, across the coal fields, and especially sort of western West Virginia, um, it can get trapped in there. So um, something to sort of just watch. But according to the Euro here, it is sort of positively tilted at this point. However, it does sort of turn more neutral, more sort of, vertical here, um, by sort of Tuesday afternoon. But by Tuesday afternoon, that most of that system is in the northeast, producing some pretty moderate to heavy snow around New York City and Boston. If we go Tuesday morning around 7, 8 a.m., we can see the Ohio Valley, sort of parts of Pennsylvania, um, seeing some moderate snow as well. I think Pittsburgh, Morgantown, State College could get a few inches here. Less snow sort of across the Huntington region down through Lexington, but we do have the snow chances. We do have it. The Euro does show it there. We see our low pressure sort of right up the coast. Um, and then by Tuesday evening, it is impacting the Northeast and out of the Ohio Valley. So let's look at the Euro or the GFS, excuse me, here, and sort of compare and contrast here. So by Monday morning here, we have our shortwave coming out of the Rockies here with the snow showers across Colorado, New Mexico. And as that moves eastward into the plains, it's going to start, bringing in this moisture from the Gulf, and we can see it start to phase together with this cold air and the moisture. And sort of by Tuesday morning, once again here, one thing I noticed, we have our trough sort of positively tilted here. Most of our cold air is going to be sort of behind this axis here. How I mean, we do have the cold air obviously here, parts of the Ohio Valley, but we need this cold air to sort of be further southward for places like northern Tennessee, the coal fields, and much of West Virginia here to see that snow. Um, but with this clash with the moisture and cold air, we will have an area of heavier snow. And as we move on through Tuesday morning, we can see some pretty moderate heavy snow according to the GFS across the Northeast, especially Pennsylvania, sort of northern West Virginia, and then later into the Northeast. The low is closer to the coast here. The Euro had it out maybe another, 100 miles, 50 to 100 miles out to the east. The GFS is a bit closer, and also we can notice the track here. It's a bit more inland, not by much, but it is a bit more inland, which would sort of keep that rain and snow line out of Boston and New York and further north. So um, something to look out there for the Northeast, but for the Ohio Valley, same sort of setup as the Euro. We have that back end starts off as maybe some sleet, freezing rain for an hour, switches over to rain, and then to snow. So the Euro and GFS, other than some minor low pressure placement, is pretty much very similar at this point. So let's have a little zoom in here and let's look at sort of a short range model here. This is um, the NAM 3K model. Um, this is going to be Monday evening here. We can see our cold air. Here's our 540 line here. So our rain snow line should be in this region. It's something to point out here. Um, we can see our 540 line right through here. And this is by Sunday night. If we go just into Monday early afternoon, our new 540 line is pushed up northward here. So our 540 line has pushed up northward, so that means there is warmer air, more warm, moist air being evected northward, ever so slightly. So this is sort of hinting at that warmer air being pushed in northward, pushing that colder air northward as well. So by Tuesday or Monday night here into Tuesday morning, we can see our sort of mixing line. Here's our 540 line right through here. 540 line here, and we can see our mixing taking place right sort of south of that 540 line, where we do have that colder air aloft and that warmer, more sort of moist air at the surface being sort of evected in, brought in. But we can see that lighter, sort of more moderate snow across the Ohio Valley, the Midwest here, and according to the NAM here, we can see that initial precip will maybe start as freezing rain um, early Tuesday morning, 2 to 3 a.m. here, according to the NAM 3K, and sort of switch over to rain for a few hours and then a burst of heavy snow for a few hours. The further north you are, like Parkersburg, Wheeling, Morgantown, State College, Youngstown here, yeah, more snow for you, probably 2 to 4 inches, maybe an inch or two across the lowlands of West Virginia and the tri-state region. Um, if that low pressure was a bit further south, or if this trough was a bit more neutrally or negatively tilted, we may have a bit more of that colder air to work with on the further southern regions of the system, but we just don't have that. And it does sort of exit out by sort of Tuesday around noon, early afternoon across the Ohio Valley. Let's look at another short range model. This is the RRFS model, another pretty solid short range model. Again here, we can see our 540 line, um, pretty parallel here. Zonal flow, west to east, and we can see eventually that gets kicked off to the north. Same sort of idea here, mixing line. Sleet, freezing rain starts off as potentially sleet, freezing rain, and then back to rain. Um, and then a few hours of heavy snow for the morning commute. So it could be tricky Tuesday morning. I don't think much of the snow will stick to the ground, like this, concrete. But if it does come down heavy enough, it could make it slushy. So slicky conditions on the roads are possible, especially the bridges and like overpasses. So just remain cautious Tuesday morning if you're out um, across sort of the Ohio Valley, Charleston, Huntington, Lexington, um, Maysville, Kentucky regions. Further north, like I said, up into sort of the Wheeling State College um, area, yeah, you're going to see more of that steady snow. So the roads could actually get covered up there, especially with the colder temps. So next, I want to look at kind of our upper air maps here, just to get a better idea of what's going on here. And this just helps me sort of help identify where we'll have the greater sort of wind energy and how our trough sets up in the mid and lower sort of atmosphere here. So this is by Monday morning here, and we can see our sort of shortwave in this region here from the Rockies, and this is going to be kicked out to our east. Additionally, we have our trough looking like this, and the middle of our trough is sort of like this. So I have a negatively tilted trough here. We have this sort of zonal flow out into the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic here. Another sort of trough as well that's positively tilted up in the Northeast. So as we move on here into sort of Tuesday night here by about 3 4 a.m. Eastern time. One thing we can notice is it's still positively tilted, but it is starting to straighten out. It's not as skewed to the to the left here. More neutral, but it is still positively tilted here. We do have nice wind energy, a lot of wind, strong winds aloft here, being brought in to the Ohio Valley, so a lot of moisture being advected in southwesterly flow here. So that tells me that there is going to be plenty of moisture. I think there is going to be enough moisture with this system to have a sneaky snow threat across the sort of upper Ohio Valley northeast. Places can get maybe 6+ inches of snow. Wouldn't be completely shocked. As we move on here, does start to sort of become more neutral here. But by then, most of your snow is happening across the northeast, um, and it could be pretty heavy at times. Look at our 850 millibar winds here. Sort of by Monday evening here, we can see our that low level moisture sort of being evected in here. And that's what's going to cause this sort of, rain area across this region here. Um, this pink circle here that's gonna cause that sort of frozen precip and that snow to melt and make it fall as more of a all liquid precip like rain. So um, that's the killer of this setup here, where we just don't have enough of that cold air to clash in with this nice moisture flow from the Gulf. So a little unfortunate for parts of the Ohio Valley. Some places are going to see a decent snowstorm, but um, you know, flow wise, we do see that there, and that it can support that heavy snow. I do want to look at some sort of what you could expect snowfall wise. These are short range sort of ensemble outputs here. Um, and I will set this up here, Ohio Valley, and um, goes through Wednesday morning here, and we can see, yeah, a nice 2 to 4 inch range, really much of Ohio through Pittsburgh, um, Columbus State College, maybe a few more inches, and then as that low really begins to strengthen and that trough becomes more neutral or more sort of vertical, we could see more pockets of 5 to 8 inches across central and eastern PA. But across the Ohio Valley area, yeah, 2 to 4 inches across much of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Some more lake effect snow influence near Lake Erie and Lake Michigan here. But we can see that warm wedge here, um, where we have that sort of warmer air at the surface across West Virginia, and this is usually a killer for a few systems almost every year in this region. Um, Probably going to be a miss on any snow. You'd have to go up through like Parkersburg, Jackson, Ohio, sort of Maysville, Kentucky. So um, a decent snow, an impactful snow. It's not going to be something you could kind of ignore. It's going to sort of impact the commute Tuesday morning. Um, I think by Tuesday evening, it would be most roads would be probably fine, but Tuesday morning might be pretty difficult. So let's look at another short range, the national blend of models here. Again through Wednesday morning, and again 2 to 4 inches, much of Ohio, maybe lower amounts central Indiana, but again, 1 to 3, 2 to 4, pretty pretty close, and then maybe some higher amounts across central eastern PA of 5 inches, but a little bit less with the snow here on the national base models ensemble. Um, it does sort of have this back end snow um, here, maybe half inch to an inch of back end snow Tuesday morning. Could come down heavy enough to maybe make it slushy or slick for a few hours Tuesday morning, but other than that, nothing too crazy. Um, let's look at our sort of ensembles, see if the ensembles have a better idea here. And through again Wednesday morning here, same idea: Ohio, Indiana, parts of northern Kentucky, PA, um, 2 to 4 inches here. Um, same idea. If we look at our sort of Euro ensembles, um, not as favorable for the snow across parts of the Ohio Valley, but it does have the overall same idea. It, across the Ohio Valley up to the northeast, but um, GFS does favor that sort of more heavier snowfall across the Ohio Valley. So another threat with this system is going to be freezing rain, but more sort of deeper in the mountains across West Virginia and Virginia. And this is our probability of freezing rain of um, 0.05 inches in 3 hours, so less than a tenth of an inch of ice in 3 hours. Um, anything over, anything really over 30 into this pink shaded region is considered a reasonable threat or reasonable probability of freezing rain. And we can see initially a lot of these, 5 and 10 contours where that mixing line would be, as this sort of storm begins to phase together. Um, there could be some sleet and some freezing rain, across the Paducah region, Evansville, potentially Lexington, Cincinnati, Huntington, sort of, Charleston, Columbus, south of Columbus, especially Chillicothe region of Ohio. They could maybe see an hour or so of sleet or freezing rain before all rain. But if we look out to the east here, we do have that freezing rain probability where we have that sort of cold air damming setup. Higher altitudes going to be cooler, but just warm enough to where precip, that wintry precip, including snow, melts to rain, but the surface is freezing or below. And we got this sort of freezing rain threat that's pretty high. Um, and it sort of lasts through Tuesday morning and kind of fades away by Tuesday afternoon. Something to look out there. Um, Additionally, here, something we look at here. This is the 850 millibar temperature map, and this is pretty useful for forecasting for winter weather here. Um, so essentially, this chart here tells us if the column of air is cold enough for snow or warm enough for rain. And if we zoom in here, we can see our sort of white, or not, excuse me, our blue and red dashed line sort of behind this white map here. And this is going to be our sort of rain snow line for the 850 millibar level. our redded shaded areas is a sort of standard deviation. So if there's higher shades of red, there is sort of higher uncertainty of where that mixing line could be. So let's pay attention to where this red and blue dashed line is. And this is Monday afternoon here. So Monday evening here, our red and blue dashed line is across central Oklahoma, the sort of northern Kentucky, southern West Virginia. This is where our mixing line is, potentially our best area of the mixing line is. And we can see this being lifted northward here as the evening progresses into Tuesday morning. And look at the mixing line now. It is pretty parallel to the flow of the trough. It's across the Ohio Valley here. And we can see the mixing line sort of north of the Huntington, Charleston, Lexington region here. Just around the Parkersburg region, Morgantown. So anything north of this, moisture-wise, is going to be mostly snow. Anything on this line, maybe mix, and then anything south, more of that rain threat. And if we move throughout the morning here, Tuesday, we can finally see it being pushed off, to the east here, and then anything sort of behind, um, right through here will be snow. So this sort of helps, forecast, you know, and tell me that this is going to be mostly an all rain event for parts of the Ohio Valley. Um, North of sort of the Parkersburg, West Virginia, up through the Chillicothe region, Willing, Pittsburgh State College. Gonna be more all snow if you're Huntington, Charleston, Lexington, and the coal fields. Starts off as mostly rain, then to snow, maybe an inch or two. Upper, farther north, 2 to 4 inches. So nothing crazy, but the Tuesday morning could be messy in places. So just stay aware, and I think we might have another shot or two at potential winter weather in the next few weeks. We'll see how things sort of clash and face together. But for now, this is all I have, and probably the last video for this storm Monday night into Tuesday morning. Um, I think your greater threat is going to be Tuesday morning. So, anyways, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later.